All right, in this video, we're going to powder coat without an oven. I'm going to go over a couple things about powder coating first, and then we're going to get into the doing it. A lot of people think powder coat is always better than paint. It is not. One of the things about powder coat that you might not know is powder coat in the sun, because there's no clear binder. That's why they started making clear coats eventually. But they use clear binder in the paint, and that binder actually protects the sun from the colorant. And because it's just powder in the sun, a lot of times, especially bright colors and stuff like that, tend to fade. White scent lasts pretty good because white just fades to white, right? But like black and stuff like that, if it's something that you're putting directly in the sun all the time, it might be better to paint it. You can powder coat it first to protect it from the rust, sand the powder coat, and actually paint over that if you're wanting to do that sort of thing. That might be an option. So, but don't just think it's a one thing fixes all, gets rid of all the problems in life. It still does have its issues. So for this, we're going to use a propane torch and a Harbor Freight, one of these, a better quality powder coater. The thing about like a really big one is it shoots on a more even coat of powder. So I found with this, I kind of get bursts of it. So I'm not going to get a perfect looking powder coat anyway. But these bumper brackets, because they kind of take some abuse and they're not generally in the sun, the top of them and that, I just wanted, and they were supposed to be black. I just thought, well, I've got them all stripped down. I'm going to go ahead and powder coat them, you know, just for the heck of it. And I know they're going to fade. What's it going to do? Fade gray? I don't care. So let's get in with it. So what they call this is called hot coating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat the material with the propane torch. Of course, it's already stripped. And the reason I don't have an oven is, number one, I don't have a space for it. So, but some things I do like to powder coat. So I'm going to go ahead and use my little Harbor Freight. You just turn this thing on. Insta flame. And we're going to get her hot. Nice and hot. Okay, so going to get it nice and hot. I've got my temperature thing over here. Let me show you that. Good temp, I think, is about 400 degrees. So after we get it to a nice even 400 degrees, the hard part about this is getting it heated up evenly. So, and this thing's pretty thick, so it's going to take a while. So I'm going to heat this girl up really nice and hot. And then we're only at 150 degrees or so, 200 degrees. Get it nice and hot. It's going to take a little while. And then while she's still hot, I'm going to shoot it with the powder. So I'll bring you back in once I get to this point where she's hot enough. Plan on getting it nice and hot. Maybe 300 degrees has been okay. I can't remember. I haven't done this in a while, so you practice with it. Worst thing is you can sandblast it and recoat it. It is not easy to sandblast off, just so you know. So try and get it right the first time if you can. So get her nice and hot. I'll kind of give you some numbers later in the video of what I'm using that works. And then, again, you got to get it even. So I got to do this side. Got to do this side. And I use my Harbor Freight refill for the propane, so it's a little bit overfull. That's why the torch is acting a little weird. And we're going to get her nice and evenly hot. Really good and hot. And then we're going to go ahead and just shoot powder on it. See how it looks. All right, so she's getting hot. I got my air hooked up I've got my foot pedal over here, if you can see it. I have to step on this and then powder coat as quickly as I can right after I get this hot. I'm going for, I think, around 260, 275 degrees. You know, it should be a little hotter than that maybe, but we'll see. At 300. That's about right, I think, if I recall right. Now, if you do an oven, usually it's 400 degrees, so it's going to come out a little more even. But like I said, we're just, you know, I mean, hey, this is the way to do it without that. If you can get it to 400, then maybe it'll work better. I don't know. This seems to work okay. We're almost there, so I'm going to have some, let's do this really quick, you guys. I'm going to get my foot pedal over on the other side, because I think I want to have my foot pedal right over there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's where I'm going to be standing, because I got my air over there and everything. So what the foot pedal does is it makes it so that the material kind of wraps around it and goes to the places where it doesn't just lay. It kind of magnetically goes to places on the part. All right, so I'm going to say we're about ready right now. Let's go for it. Leak or something. Like I said, the better unit shoots it on a little more even. I'm not claiming to be an expert at this, guys. I'm just that's about all we're going to get. Now the other thing I've done is right after I get done, I go ahead and don't get too close to the torch, but heat it up a little bit afterwards sometimes. Depends if you do too much, you'll burn it. So you don't want to hold the torch in one place very long at all. Just kind of even it out. Just kind of melt the powder on the surface a little bit. You definitely want to be somewhere where you're inside with no wind. A little bit of wind will get that torch on there too long, she's going to mess up. All right, so we're going to call that good. We'll take a look at that. Take it outside and look at it. So like on these thicker parts, it's a little harder to get them to come out even. It's like if you see down here where the metal's thinner, it came out pretty nice. But over here it looks kind of flat and kind of not so smooth. It's just too hard to get the metal hot. Well, let's use a really big torch. You can use one of those big propane torches, and that does work on these bigger parts, but that's fine for me. I'm just trying to coat them. I can even sand this down and paint it. At least I have that powder coat right to the metal, so if it does chip the paint off, there's powder underneath it. Of course, this takes a little bit of practice. I mean, I got this one to like 400 degrees and it was just way too hot, and you can just see it kind of bubbled when it hit. It's too hot. They say that how the oven, I think, is 400 degrees, but I don't think the part you want that hot. And then, of course, I got this like really good right here, and see this part got kind of flat. It's because there's two different temperatures. I probably had this one temperature, and that's something else because this is thick. So, you know, things that are like one thickness are a lot easier to do. These are kind of tricky here. They're kind of rust pitted and stuff, but it doesn't matter. You don't really see them. So I was just playing around with temps on them. I finally got the one I just did. I got pretty good, and I think it's around just you know, by the time I shoot it from the time I test it with with the still hot. But I tested with the thing. This is like around 200 degrees, I'm gonna say. This one was right around 200 degrees, and look at, and this one turned out pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty smooth all the way around, and it's because it's a thinner metal. So the thicker metal, again, it's really hard to get it all even. So the thinner metal is a lot easier. So if you want to do thinner metal, you're going to find it to be a lot easier to do. Let these cool for a little bit. They're not quite ready to come off. Like this one here. It came out kind of flat, but this is supposed to be flat or matte finish. So it's not real high gloss product. It's cheap stuff from Harbor Freight. You know, just playing around. This one here, I tried putting it on cool and then heating it afterwards, and to see if it would melt in, and it didn't seem to work. It kind of got, it didn't work, so I just had to keep heating it, and then I just squirted it afterwards, and this is how it came out after it was hot coated it. So, I mean, you use an oven, it comes out a lot nicer, but, you know, if you don't have an oven, you can do it. And also, if you have a better machine, this thing's kind of clumpy. It just kind of shoots out, you know, chunks of it. So you have to kind of shake the bottle, and it kind of comes out clumpy. But it's not bad. It works. You know, look at, I mean, I got this thing to look this good. So, again, that looks really pretty good. Pretty much flawless there. A little bit of dry spot there. A little bit dry over here at the end. But not bad. Pretty good. So, I mean, like I said, if you don't like it, you can always sand it down and spray can it. And at least you got this on the hard coating. So if it chips off, you'll just see black underneath it. So that's an idea too. Powder coat's a little bit better for chipping than paint is. That's one good thing about it. But it doesn't last, in my opinion, as long in the sun as paint. But anyway, I just thought you guys enjoy, you know, if you were thinking about a powder coating machine, you know, and you wanted to try something like this, you can. It does work. Like I said, it's not the best way. It's not as good as using the oven. Oven comes out more even. It heats it up more evenly, and you put it on first. I mean, a lot of the time, you want to almost do what we did here and just heat up the part really good and get it hot and let it cool a couple times. Sometimes the guys will take the parts and put them in the oven first and run them in the oven once to get all the contaminants off of them, and then bring them out, let them cool, and then hit them with the powder, and then take the rack and put it back in the oven and let it melt. So that's all it does, is just powder that melts. Just on the surface, and it kind of melts. It's like plastic when it dries. So it's kind of neat stuff. It's kind of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and see your comments, and let me know if I'm doing this wrong. Talk to you next one.